You know, I think this is one of the most frigid winters we've ever had. Even with the fire in here, it's still quite chilly. And look at you. I've wrapped you up in so many blankets and yet you still look cold. Do you require any more blankets, my little treasure? I do have some more heavy quilts in the spare closet. I suppose I have buried you under quite enough blankets. But still, it looks like you're shivering. You can't fool me, you know. Now I thankfully run very warm. Cold weather doesn't really affect me like it does you. I always felt so bad for humans when they'd walk into my library. Practically bundled up to the nose, scarves and gloves. Yet they were still so cold. At some point I started wearing scarves myself just because after seeing them so often it felt like the right thing to do, even though I didn't need it. But it looks like you are in need of some extra warmth. Oh yes, you do. It's in the negatives outside. And while it doesn't affect me, it affects you. And I can't have my little treasure being uncomfortable now, can I? Oh no, you stay right there. You stay bundled up in those blankets. I will just be right beside you. Cuddling always fixes everything, especially when you're too cold. And you know, one of my favorite things to do is to cuddle you. I love the feeling of being able to keep you safe. Even if it's something just as silly as keeping you safe from the cold. Well, yes. The cold never really bothers me. When it gets into the negatives, I suppose if I went outside with no coat at all, I'd feel a little bit nippy. But I'd be alright. You humans are so fragile. And I say that with much sincerity. I don't mean that you're fragile in a bad way. I always just found it rather interesting. The differences that we have, but also the things that we have in common. And I'm glad that me and you have found much in common. Quite some time ago, I'd be spending these cold winter nights by myself. Usually curled up with a good book, but by myself nonetheless. Instead, though, today I find myself with you. Sitting on this very plush couch with a fireplace right in front. Bundled up under many blankets that I rarely ever use. Feeling more loved than I ever have. And you gave that to me. Oh, don't say that. You've given me so much. You always think so little of yourself. And I will not have that. You are so precious to me. You are my treasure after all. No gold or gem could ever compare to you. And while I know you think that I do so much for you, you do so much for me. Even though right now I'm keeping you warm on such a cold day, you always find a way to warm my heart. Your love burns more than a fire ever could. Sickly romantic, I know. What can I say? I read too many books. Or maybe not enough. But right now, that does not matter to me. All that matters is that I hold you in my arms and never let go. Or at least just for the moment. Oh, I love you too. I love you so much. I love you always. Well, that's good to see. Well, you're not shivering anymore. I'm glad you're no longer cold. But don't think that gets you off the hook just yet. I'm gonna be cuddling you for a little while longer. Not that I think you'd have any complaints. I suppose the best day to cuddle is on a cold day. Especially ones like this. Perhaps if the winds let up, we could do something in the snow. It's been a while since I've done anything in the snow, actually. You know, you could try to enjoy the snow by yourself, but sometimes it's more fun to enjoy it with someone else. I always wanted to make a snow angel. I have in the past, but not for a while. When I used to make snow angels as a kid, I get so overly excited and my tail would mess it up. Didn't look much like an angel, but I still loved it anyways. And now I get to love it with you. If the wind lets up, that is. It is a blistering blizzard out there right now. Wouldn't be very safe to let you out there. Not just yet. But when we do, is there anything that you would like to do? In the snow, that is. A snowman? No, I'd rather like that. I actually have a perfect top hat in my closet that we can use. We'll make him be the fanciest snowman that the whole block has ever seen. Perhaps we can get strong enough branches for his arms so he can hold a book. Well, of course, our snowman will be well read. You know, I love this. Just this, just talking about these silly things with you. Just being here on this couch, just for some reason this moment, I just really don't ever want it to end. Even though it's quite mundane. From the outside in, it doesn't look like anything special. But it is very special to me. To know that I have someone to talk about nothing with. that I will always cherish. That is why you must always remember that I will always cherish you. Of course. You're the most precious gem I have. I love you. And don't you ever forget it. But you know, I've grown rather comfortable on this couch myself. It's very cozy, and the crackle of the fire is always comforting. I think I might fancy myself a nap. What about you? Well, that sounds splendid. There's nothing wrong with a nice afternoon nap. Especially on a cozy day like this. And maybe afterwards, we can have a nice cup of tea. Or cocoa if you prefer. Whatever my little treasure desires. And I will make it yours.